Hey, it is May 8th and it's 41 degrees out. This is officially bullshit. I'm freezing in my car, but I had some thoughts I wanted to share about some essential parts, I think, of the whole specific person part of, the overall creating your life, creating, mentally, creating intentionally. Because situations in my life continue to develop. I continue to have insightful conversations with my friend Robbie Bobby Scotty, who will hopefully soon be starting a YouTube channel. And until he starts discussing his side of things, I'm going to have to share both my side and his here. And so what I was thinking about is I distinctly remember making a video, I think sometime in February, where I was talking about changing your self-concept, because if you are viewing outer events through a lens that is, focusing through a bunch of inaccurate or just beliefs that are being colored, by your experience or whatever, that aren't actually, reflective of reality necessarily, then you can get your manifestation, whatever it is. You can get it and you don't realize that it's there, or you interpret it through your lens. When if you just were able to take your lens off, you would see, oh, this thing is right here. And so I was talking to Robbie Bobby yesterday because luckily for me, things seem to happen to me in too obvious of a way for me to miss them. Like if I miss it the first time, or if something happens and then I interpret it a certain way based on like my negative view, luckily for me, as far as I know, I have then gotten a chance to see it more clearly. Like there's been something said or done where I'm like, okay, well, there's no other way to interpret that other than that. That goes with what I want. And so I wanted to talk about that because it's becoming very clear to me that if you are manifesting a specific person that you've already had a relationship with, that you already have a whole bunch of judgments made on, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean, we spend time with people and we decide a person is a whole bag of characteristics, right? Based on our experience of them at the time we were together, and how that reflected our state of good self-worth or bad self-worth or whatever, however that person reflected to you your self-concept, that's going to color how you view them, of course. And so so yesterday I had some, how do I say this? I overreacted mentally to what I think was actually a very innocent exchange between me and another person the other night. And then I took it to mean a whole bunch of stuff that I don't really think it meant now in retrospect, based on newer information. I then had a conversation with this person. I think I'm going to have to post about this on the Neville Goddard SP subreddit. Then I had a conversation where I just thought, how could I have thought that I was unimportant or that he didn't care about me? Like, look at this. And I realized, I immediately go to Robbie Bobby and I'm like, look what just happened. And it became immediately clear to me that I was strongly holding on to, through a lot of evidence to the contrary, the judgments and view I have of this person. I was holding on to that a lot. And I realized I'm still interpreting everything he does through that original judgment I made about him. Part of the reason that I didn't think that we could be together was because based on a few interactions, I filled in a whole bunch of blanks with who he is, essentially, and decided that we shouldn't be together. And despite the fact that I'm getting all of these actual experiences, actual evidence right now that I was wrong about that, I can't stop clinging on to my old view. Like, well, I can, I'm going to try to stop, but I mean, it's just innate that one continues, I think, to view somebody the way they've always viewed them, because like you made those judgments based on something that you thought was sound, rational decision making, probably, or I don't know, however you do it. Same, you know, if you're with somebody for a long period of time too closely, this I think becomes really challenging, because you have more evidence, more things that filtered through your lens, and that you made decisions about. You know, your view of this person has a lot more weight on it the longer you're with somebody. You know, it's very hard to wipe the slate clean and to see a person, you know, as not being the person that you knew in the past. And I think that if you are manifesting a specific person who is somebody from your past, this is something to really, I think, actually sit and think about. Because if this person is back in your life, if they do show up, how you view them is going to be of monumental importance, because they could be being the person you want them to be, but everything somebody says and does can be interpreted a million different ways. And how you interpret other people's actions and the things they say is going to be entirely dependent on how you feel about you, how you feel about them, and how you view them, you know? I think it's entirely possible. I personally wouldn't want to manifest back somebody who cheated on me. If someone cheated on me, that would just be the end of it for me. I've never been cheated on, and that's not something I'm willing to have in my existence in any way, shape, or form. Everybody who I get close with, I am very certain is not a cheater. There must be something that is just a horrible turnoff to me about somebody that also goes hand in hand with them being a cheater, because I just don't encounter these people. I don't think that you can. I wouldn't manifest somebody back who did that, but I do think that people can cheat and then not do that again. I don't think once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't think every instance of cheating makes you a bad person. I think shit happens sometimes, and you really, if that's part of your story, I think you really have to think about whether or not, you know, you can get to a point where you're willing to believe that, you know, a person can be different. Because otherwise, I mean, think about it. The only reason I'm using the cheating example is because I feel like this is a really easy way to illustrate it. If somebody has cheated on you, you know, and then you get back together, if you don't do some serious mental work to see them differently, I think, you know, you will often be like wondering and scrutinizing their behavior for that. Whereas, like, in my world, there is never a moment of scrutiny about being cheated on, because I just don't end up with people like that. And so it just doesn't enter my consciousness. And the point I'm trying to make is, and generally as well, you know, using the cheating example, like, if you're going to manifest back somebody who has done that and you want a new relationship, you're going to have to look at them as a new person that didn't cheat on you. And I think this is some of the most, difficult, exhausting, mental work that you can do. Like, changing views on people is incredibly difficult. And this is why I'm not a huge fan in general of the manifesting back a specific person thing. You know, my relationship is kind of in this area. I did some work on manifesting a specific person about somebody else, and I'm really starting to wonder, just based on my relationship currently, which is with a different person who I didn't have like a serious relationship with, who I haven't like been in a relationship with yet. I'm having a hard enough time erasing my initial judgment of who he is and trying to like wipe the slate clean with that. For another person who I've already been with, I mean, man, that's a task. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm saying if what you want is a person is to manifest back a relationship, you know, with somebody where they feel a certain way about you this time that they didn't before in your perception, you're gonna have to erase the past, and that is no small task. Anyway, I'm recognizing this in my own life because I've noticed that despite, you know, being just like hyper aware of everything happening, especially for the last 6 months, like really, I'm really here in the moment, and I'm really not worried about the future. Like most of my awareness and analytical ability is right here, right now, which is a great thing. That's usually where I think you can see things the most clearly. And I am still in this area really challenged to the point that, you know, I'm saying, oh, you know, this is never going to be what I want, while it's essentially already what I want right in front of me. I can't be the only one who's experiencing this, so I wanted to put that out there on this lovely freezing May morning so that anybody who is manifesting back a specific person can think about that. And you know, I'm not sure exactly how you unprogram that. I think it's like an ongoing thing. But if you're not willing to do it, you know, you might want to think about just creating a new ideal person who hasn't hurt you, who hasn't cheated on you, who hasn't mistreated you, who you don't have negative judgments about. You know, I think this is a serious task. Like this is going to the Super Bowl. So I hope that helps somebody.